Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to William Tierney Field at USA Lacrosse in Hunt Valley, Maryland, where we're getting ready for the C Conference Championship in the MIAA for 2023. We are in a game delay for just a moment. Unfortunately, the St. Vincent Pilati bus that was due to pick them up broke down and actually had a flat tire. And they had to make some other arrangements, and the team is just arriving now. We can see them, the bus in the parking lot, and the team coming in. And so we will be in a delay. They need ample time to warm up, which will put this game at least until 9:20, possibly 6:20, possibly 6:30 before we'll actually start. So if you bear with us, we will be leaving the video on, and we will have the audio part of the broadcast kick in when both teams have taken the field. Pilati walking in front of us now, not dressed at the moment, going to their locker room, and we'll come out for warm-ups. 20 minutes for warm-ups, and then we will start introductions and get this game underway within the next 20 to 30 minutes. So again, a delay in tonight's action for the C Conference Championship. We'll leave the video on and turn the sound down, and we'll be back to you in just a little bit for further announcements.
6:45 national anthem.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep. Trying to make sure everybody knows. Thank you.
Everybody good? Questions?
And an updated announcement has been made to the press box here. The game will start at national anthem at 6:45, and game time immediately thereafter. There are 37 minutes on the clock right now for warm-up. That will take us right to the announcements and then the national anthem in the beginning of our game. So 6:45 for those viewers. We'll be back. An updated announcement now to the press box. The starting game time will be 6:45 p.m. The teams are both here now. 36 minutes on the clock for warm-ups and national anthem and player introductions planned for 6:43, and national anthem and game time beginning right at 6:45. So any further announcements, we'll be back to you, but that's what is planned. Again, there was a delay with St. Vincent Pilati arriving and due to a bus issue, and the game will start at 6:45 p.m. Turn the sound down and be back to you in just a little bit with further announcements. Thank you. Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. We are in a game delay at the moment due to a late arrival of the bus for Pilati. Our game time originally scheduled for 6 is planned now for 6:45, just about 20 minutes or so from now. We will be doing player announcements in about 15 to 20 minutes and national anthem and the start of our game shortly thereafter. So those tuned in for the broadcast, it will begin at approximately 6:45 this evening. As you can see on the field, we're giving you warm-ups, coverage here, and the officials have now taken the field. So we are just minutes away from the beginning of our action. In fact, about 20 so minutes away. Okay, we will turn the sound down again and let you watch the continuance of warm-ups if you are, and have game action for you in just a little bit. Thank you. guys missed the net so frequently and by so much.
We should just like go to the center. That's good. Because they just rip it half the time. They don't pass it. At least I'm convinced.
Probably had 700 or 800 people here last Friday.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Another announcement regarding the start of tonight's C Conference Championship here at USA Lacrosse, William Tierney Field. We had a delay in St. Vincent Pallotti arrival, and that has caused a delay in the start of the game. The teams are finishing up their warm-ups. Scheduled start time is 6:45, and we're waiting now for the announcements of the player introductions and the national anthem, which should be happening within the next few minutes. There's 6 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock for warm-ups, and Pallotti taking advantage of that. St. John's is taken to their bench. And so we're just moments away. So we'll turn the sound down, come back to you in a few moments, but our game delay is just about over, and we will be ready for the start of tonight's championship finals in just a few moments. Thank you.
to William G. Tierney Field at USA Lacrosse and the 2023 C Conference Lacrosse Championship game featuring the defending champions and number 2 seed Vikings of St. John Catholic Prep against the number 1 seeded Panthers of St. Vincent Pallotti High School. A special welcome to the officials for this evening from the Southern Lacrosse Officials Association, celebrating 100 years of service to the Baltimore metropolitan lacrosse community. Officials play an important role in every contest to keep our events fair, safe, and fun. Without officials, we can't have games like today. A special thank you for the efforts of our officials for today's championships. Let's show them our appreciation. The MIAA believes good sportsmanship is an integral component of interscholastic competition. We wholeheartedly embrace the position that in order for sportsmanship to prevail, coaches, student athletes, and fans must display respect, fairness, civility, honesty, and responsibility before, during, and after all athletic contests. We encourage fans to enthusiastically support their teams, recognize the outstanding performance of opponents, and always exhibit good sportsmanship in their words and action. MIAA encourages and promotes sportsmanship by student athletes, coaches, and spectators. Offensive language, including profanity, racial or ethnic slurs, or other intimidating actions directed at officials, event staff, student athletes, coaches, or team representatives will not be tolerated. For the safety of participants, officials, and spectators alike, at no time before, during, or after a contest are spectators allowed to enter the competition area. Failure to comply with the post-game safety policy will result in a fine being assessed to the offending school. We are all guests of USA Lacrosse, and we thank them for their hospitality. Please be respectful of their personnel and their amazing facilities. And now, let's meet the starting lineup for the St. John's Catholic Prep Vikings. On attack, a senior, number 2, Nick Camerata.
And now your starting lineups
A junior, number 3,
by our
Gavin
stadium
Putney.
announcer.
A senior, number 11, Aiden O'Neill. A senior, number 28, Keller Newman. A sophomore, number 22, Joe Novak. On midfield, a junior, number 4, Alex Pirano. At long stick midfield, number 18, William Cavanaugh. On defense, number 1, a senior, Tyler Grove. A senior, number 24, Roberto Cortez. And in the goal, a freshman, number 14, Landon Kunkel. The assistant coaches are Patrick Green, Chris Havern, Cameron Anderson, and Eddie Somerville. The head coach, Matt Williams. And now, please welcome the starting lineup for the St. Vincent Pallotti Panthers. On attack, junior, number 9, Aiden Covington. Senior, number 11, Robert Mitchell. Senior, number 5, Amir Young. On midfield, a junior, number 7, Matthew Mitchelltree. Junior, number 12, Adam Rinker. Sophomore, number 15, Ty Wiggins. On defense, a junior, number 13, Ahi Dariello. A junior, number 14, Peyton Stoops. A senior, number 16, Jaden Lewis. On facing off, number 2, a senior, CJ Ruckus. Senior long stick midfielder, number 6, Oliver Woodgets. Sophomore short stick defensive midfielder, number 8, Darian Green. And in the goal, a senior, number 15, Jace Wiggins. The assistant coaches are Michael Schwartz, Joe Lloyd, Zach Burns, Justin Wilson, and Nate Jones. The head coach, Kirk Duffson. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as we honor our great nation and the men and women serving our country at home and abroad, we ask that you please rise, if able, and remove your hats as we proudly present our national anthem.
And now our national anthem. And now, after a bit of a delay, we're going to finally have some lacrosse action here at USA Lacrosse in Hunt Valley, Maryland tonight. Face-off will be by C.J. Ruckus from Pilati and Alex Pereno from St. John's Catholic Prep. Final words from their coaches, and teams now taking the field. Ruckus and Perano for the face-off. Still ground ball, loose ball. And possession now given to Pilati. Controlled by number 7, Matthew Mitchelltree. Shot and score! Number 5, Amir Young with the first goal of the game. Just 29 seconds into the first quarter. Pilati takes the lead 1-0. Amir Young with the goal. On the face-off. Controlled by Pilati. Long pass out to midfield, over the head, and out of bounds. It's going to be turned over to St. John's Catholic Prep. Perano in control. Over to number 28, Keller Newman. And back to Perano. Look, pass. A couple errant passes in the middle, but still retained by St. John's. Solid check by Pilati. Perano controls. He gets it down to number 3. That's Gavin Prunty. Look, in front. Dish off. Shot and score! Number 7 for St. John's, Drake McGrath with the goal.
Scored by number 7, Matthew Mitchelltree. Assisted by number 2, C.J. Ruckus.
It's not. It's over there. Controlled by St. John's Catholic Prep. Look, pass over the head, and it's going to go out of bounds and be turned over to Pilati. Pilati's goalie, Jace Wiggins, brings it up, walks it up. Flips it out to number 5, Amir Young. And Amir Young controls, giving it up to number 17, Ben Miller. Matthew Mitchell-Tree with the ball. And it will be retained by Pilati. Number 17, Ben Miller. Swing around, now controlled by number 7. That's Matthew Mitchell-Tree. Gives it up in behind the net. Amir Young controls. Flip, shot, look inside. And the pass gets away out to midfield. And it's going to get turned over to St. John's. St. John's number 22, Joe Novak, gives it up to 28, Keller Newman. Now over to Pirano. And St. John's will set it up. 1-1. 8 minutes, 5 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Pirano looks behind the net. Out and around. Shot, no good. And out of bounds. Chased out by St. John's. They'll control. Number 3, that's Gavin Prunty. Makes his move behind the net, spins down. And we got a hold. And it'll stay here with St. John's. Gavin Prunty. Turns, shot, no good. And out of bounds. Stay with Joe Novak behind the net. Novak spins, comes around, nobody open. Dishes it out around the perimeter. Now controlled by Keller Newman. Keller Newman back behind the net. Number 3, Gavin Prunty. Prunty looks in the middle. Nothing there. Intercepted and taken by number 7, Matthew Mitchell-Tree. Going the other way for Pilati. He looks, he fakes, he shoots, he scores! Over to the left shoulder of the St. John's goalie. Number 7, Matthew Mitchell-Tree with the goal. Giving Pilati a 2-1 lead.
Goal by Matthew Mitchell-Tree.
.6:51 remaining in the first quarter. Pilati taking a 1-goal lead, 2-1. And the face-off controlled by St. John's. Being harassed and then taken away by Pilati. And down to number 5, Amir Young. Young look, shot, no good. Out of bounds, it's going to get turned over to the Vikings of St. John's. And we got a turnover. Going to go to Pilati. Young with the ball again. He steps in, he fires, he scores! Young with a rocket. Amir Young. Number 5 for Pilati. A senior with a rocket just past Landon Kunkel, goalie for St. John's. And that makes it 3-1.
Panthers goal, scoring number 5, Amir Young.
Face-off picked up by St. John's. St. John's comes up on top. Shot! Wide and out of bounds. It'll stay with St. John's. Run out of bounds by number 3, Gavin Prunty. Prunty behind the net. He makes his move, coming around. Look in front. Shot! Block! And do we have a goal? Officials going to look, and we do! Number 22, Joey Novak, with the goal for St. John's Catholic Prep. And that'll make the score
St. John's Catholic
Pilati
by number
3,
22, Joe Novak.
St. John's 2. 5:59 remaining in the first quarter. So lots of action right out of the gate here for both teams. 3-2 Pilati. And we got a hold, and it's going to get turned over to St. John's. Pirano. And we're going to give it up to number 28, Keller Newman. Newman flips it back to Pirano as he switches sticks. And he's going to flip it down to Gavin Prunty. Prunty, the setup guy behind the net. He's guarded by number 16, Jaden Lewis for Pilati. Swing it around the perimeter up at the top. Pirano, shot, score! Alex Pirano over the right shoulder of Jace Wiggins.
By number 4, Alex Pirano.
And that'll make it a tie game, 3-3, with 5:13 remaining in the first quarter. Coming out for the faceoff for St. John's going to be number 7, and that is Drake McGrath. He's on faceoff with number 2, C.J. Ruckus. Loose ball taken by Pilati. And that's number 6, Olive Wojcik. Wojcik. Now number 7, Matthew Mitchelltree, controls at the top. Skip pass over to number 12, Adam Rinker. Back to Mitchelltree. Look, nothing there. Back behind the net. Look in front. That's Amir Young. Intercepted and taken. Collision in the middle. And it stays here with Pilati trying to save it in bounds, and does, is Mitchelltree. Mitchelltree, quick move. Pulls it back out to Young behind the net. Look in front. Nobody there. Pass. Shot and scores! Matthew Mitchelltree with the goal. Mitchelltree's a junior, number 7, with another
Panthers goal, scored by number 7, Matthew
goal for
Mitchelltree.
Pilati, making it 4-3 St. Vincent Pilati. 3:51 now remains. And back to the faceoff. Pirano This time, C.J. Ruckus wins and gives it up. Ben Miller for Pilati. Over to Ty Wiggins. Ty Wiggins drops to Adam Rinker. Now to Ben Miller. Ben Miller with a move. Look inside. Tight window, trying to get the pass in. Young. Back out. Shot. Wide. The shot was by Ty Wiggins. Chased out of bounds by St. John's. And we're going to go the other way. Passes up the midfield. Looks like it loose. Controlled by St. John's coming in. Flip inside. Look. Shot. Excellent save by Jace Wiggins from Pilati. And they're running out the other way. Number 6, long shot. Bounce over top. Olivier Woodgett with the shot. Bounce just over the goal. Young with a quick shot from the right, from the left side. High, chased out by St. John's, and they'll control. Getting pressure, pass in the middle, and it is loose. Still not controlled by either team. And finally comes out and then lost again. All around midfield. Still not. And finally controlled by Trey Young from Pilati. And he'll give it up to Mitchell Tree. .130 remaining in the first quarter. Ball worked around the perimeter. And now behind the net. Look, dump, shot, block, and taken away by St. John's, but then taken back by Pilati. Amir Young. He passes, give it up to number 17, I believe. No, it is number 12. And that is Adam Rinker, who unloaded. Beautiful shot and makes the score 5-3. Rinker, a junior midfielder. And 104 remaining in the quarter. Pilati 5, St. John's 3. Shot off the back of defender William Cavanaugh. It'll stay with Pilati with 52 seconds. And we have a stop in the action. And we got a shot clock blacked out. 49.7 seconds remains. And officials sorting things out. They're going to talk to the coaches. We had a shot with over 50 seconds. We're getting a clarification up here in the booth that there must be a shot clock in men's lacrosse in the event there is a penalty. But we don't have one, so we'll continue action here without it. And around the outside going counterclockwise. Step in, shot, blocked. Shot by number 15 was Ty Wiggins. Landon Kunkel, solid save. Another rocket skip shot and out of bounds. 24 seconds remains. And Pilati still retains possession. Amir Young behind the net, looks up top. Errant pass. Ground ball. Picked up by St. John's. Look. Pass couldn't be completed. Saved him. It's out of bounds. Thought we were going to get a save inbounds, but it goes out of bounds with 3 seconds remaining. And Pilati launches a long shot. Snared by the goalie for St. John's. And that's the end of the first quarter with St. Vincent Pilati scoring 5 to St. John's 3. So quite a bit of action there in the first quarter. Both teams being very aggressive. Some wicked rocket shots from both teams. And most of the control handled by Pilati there. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back to the action in just a moment. At the end of the first quarter, it is the Pilati Panthers 5 and the St. John's Vikings 3. We'll be right back. Thank you. Gonna have a USA Lacrosse sweatshirt, huh? I want a parka. No. Penalty, yep. Yep. Gotcha. Thank you. And as we come back to the action, we got clarification, and it was exactly what I explained. The shot clock must be on for the men's in the event of a penalty. And we finished that quarter without it. And now we're back to the face-off. Pirano over Ruckus. Pirano controls. He gives it up to he gives it up to number 7, Drake McGrath. And has a stick change. It comes back out. And gets it back. Shot. Blocked. Shot by Drake McGrath. Caught one of the defenders for Pilati. But retained by St. John's. Spin in front. And taken out. And retrieved by the goalie for Pilati as they look to clear. A zigzag pass up the field. and ultimately controlled by number 7 for Pilati, and that is Mitchell Tree. Amir Young behind the net with the ball, and they move it around the perimeter counterclockwise. Makes its way back to Mitchell Tree. Pick set, look, and the pass gets a turnover, and it's going to go over to St. John's. The Vikings. Landon Kunkel, the goalie. He gets the ball up middle of the field to number 1, Tyler Grove. Nick Gamera. Controlled for a moment. Now it makes its way around to Gavin Prunte. Prunte. Look, spin, double teamed, knocked away. Ground ball picked up, but it goes out of bounds. It'll stay with St. John's. Pronte behind the net. 9:40 remaining in the half. Pronte spins. Defended by number 16, Jaden Lewis. And tosses the ball all the way up to the top to Drake McGrath. He gives it up to Pirano. Look in front. Pass slips through and goes out of bounds to Pilati. The turnover to Pilati. They go cross field to Adam Rinker. Rinker up at the top. He looks, gives it up. Shot by number 9, Aiden Covington, a left-hander. He scores for Pilati. That makes the score 6-3.
Goal by number 12, Adam Rinker. Correction, score by number 9, Aiden Covington, assisted by Adam Rinker.
Rinker set up with a beautiful pass, wide open shot by Covington. Gives the Panthers a 3-goal lead. Here with 8:45 remaining. Face-off controlled by St. John's. And Pirano now takes control at the top. And we're going to have a timeout on the field by St. John's with 8:26 remaining in the half. And St. John's will have 1 timeout remaining in the half with Pilati having 2. So we're going to take a quick break and come back to the action. The score in this C Conference Championship, St. Vincent Pilati 6, St. John's Catholic Prep 3. We'll be back in just a moment. Okay, back to the action. St. John's in control. Drake McGrath to Pirano. Pirano gets a step on the hip. Shot, scores! Alex Pirano, a junior.
Alex Pirano.
So coming out of the timeout, good things happen for St. John's. They make the score now 6-4, Pilati. McGrath will come out and take the face-off for St. John's with C.J. Ruckus, and Pilati controls. Give it up for far side. That's number 5 for Pilati, Amir Young. And they'll set up. Into the game and in possession, number 26, Eli Serpin. Up on top, number 7, Mitchell Tree. To Serpin. Back and forth, and Serpin retains, and then back to Mitchell Tree. Step and look. Turn. Hits the pipes. Amir Young. A shot on a quick turn. Hits the pipes for Pilati. Ball movement at the top. 35 seconds on the shot clock. Back to Amir Young behind the net. He looks on top. Ball moves around. Left-hander. Shot wide. And chased out of bounds. And shot blocked. And the shot clock runs out. Turnover.
Possession clock violation.
And we have our first possession clock violation. The ball turned over to St. John's. Controlled by number 1, Tyler Grove. He clears it. Over to number 2, Nick Gamara. And now Alex Pirano controls. Flips over to number 28, Keller Newman. Back to Pirano. St. John's sets up, hoping to make this a 1-goal deficit. Pirano comes in, looks. Still controlled by St. John's. Pass inside, and we're going to have our first penalty.
Pushing.
We have a 30-second pushing penalty called on number 13 for Pilati, and that's Adi Yemo. So he's off for 30 seconds with 5:21 remaining in the half. So we are first 6 on 5. Ball moving solid. Shot. Chased out and retained by St. John's. 13 seconds remains on the penalty. And they'll set up to get another shot off here on the power play.
Teams are at full strength.
And everybody back to full strength. 4:35 remaining in the half. And Pirano sets up. Brings it in behind the net. Look in front. Shot, score! Number 28, Keller Newman for St. John's. A senior makes it a 1-goal deficit, 6-5.
Vikings goal scored by number 28, Keller Newman, assisted by number 3, Gavin Prunty.
Gavin Prunty gets the assist. Gavin, a junior, for St. John's. Face off. Ground ball. And it's flipped up and still loose. And a couple hits, and we're going to have a turnover to Pilati. And a control to Pilati. Number 7, Mitchell Tree. Over to number 15, Ty Wiggins. And now number 9 is Aiden Covington. Taken behind the net, Amir Young. He looks. And loose ball. Control to Ty Wiggins. He turns, looks in front. Loose ball. Chased out of bounds. And it'll stay with Pilati. Up at the top, spin. Shot. Out of bounds, stays with Pilati. Behind the net, Wiggins. Amir Young now. Look, shot, score! Number 15, Ty Wiggins. Sophomore with the goal. Extends it to a 2-goal game. 7-5, Pilati.
Panthers goal scored by number 15, Ty Wiggins, assisted by number 7, Matthew Mitchelltree.
Mitchelltree with the assist. 2:50 remaining in the half. And back on the face-off. It was Ruckus and Drake McGrath this time around. Controlled by Pilati. And we have a whistle on the field. And a timeout by the Panthers. So 7-5 in the end of the first half coming up. 2 minutes and 33 seconds remaining. Each team with one timeout remaining. And the score is 7-5, the Panthers over the Vikings here in the 2023 C Conference Championships. I'm Larry Dukes with Morgan Knox, bringing you the action, live streamed by Red Dog. At halftime, we'll do what we did at the beginning of the game. We'll turn down the sound. We'll leave the video on so you can see what's happening here at halftime, and we'll come back to you just before the second half with analysis and the beginning as we move forward. Been a game of streaks so far. Each team having their moments of good, solid offense and passes and scores, great shots. And the teams come back into position with Pilati in possession. And we're back in play. St. John's came out of their timeout. It was a quick goal. Pilati trying to do the same. They look. Shot just wide in the top left corner attempt. Amir Young, he passes in front. Good stop by Landon Kunkel, but it's still retained by Pilati. Spin in front, running into a few defenders. Now Pilati shot, score! Goal by Matthew Mitchelltree as he works his way around the St. John's defenders and lets it fly, making it an 8-5 game here in the first half. 1:47 remaining in the half. For St. John's, Alex Pirano will take the face-off against number 2, Charler C.J. Ruckus. Both of these players are seniors. And it's controlled by Pilati. Look in front. And players down. And looking for the call. In the crease, it's going to go over to St. John's Catholic Prep. And the Vikings take control. Flipped out to number 24. And that was Roberto Cortez. He gets it up and cleared. And we're going to have another timeout by St. John's Catholic Prep. 1:17 remaining here in the first half. Crisp night out here in Hunt Valley. Game time temperature, I'm guessing somewhere south of 55 degrees. A little bit of wind coming from the south, making it the wind chill probably 50 or below. I knew our camera person, Morgan Knox, if you see the camera shake, it's because she's freezing. 65. Chris Ely tells us that the temperature is 65. I don't believe it. But it is a gorgeous night. Completely blue skies. A couple of clouds in the distance at this beautiful facility north of Baltimore. Teams back on the field. And possession will be with St. John's. Mentioned the coaches, Matt Williams, the head coach for St. John's Catholic Prep, and Kirk Dodson, the head coach for Pilati. Okay, control by St. John's, number 28, Keller Newman, up on top. And 1 minute remaining, 45 seconds on the shot clock. He's going to let it wind down a little bit. Look, pass. Picked up by number 22, Joey Novak. Novak around the back. Being stalked by the Pilati defender. He gives it up to number 28. That's Keller Newman. Newman also being hawked by number 8, Darian Green. And it's taken away. And Pilati going the other way with numbers, 4-on-3. The look, the give up, the shot, the score! Number 9, Aiden Covington. Covington with the shot and score. And that'll extend the Panther lead 9-5.
Assisted by number 21, Ja'Kai Butler.
Ja'Kai Butler with the long stick assist. Butler, a junior, makes it 9-5. The Panthers, with 8.7 seconds remaining, give it up and chased as it goes out of bounds. Time runs out on the first half. The halftime score, St. Vincent Pilati 9, St. John's Catholic Prep 5. And we go to halftime with both teams headed to the locker room. We're going to turn the sound down. We'll be back to you in just a few moments. Stay with us. Thank you. track meet where it's hot and sticky to this freezing cold thing. Okay, we make our way back out for the second half. Both teams breaking huddles with their coaches. 9-5 Pilati over St. John's. And St. John's climbed back in the second quarter, but then Pilati extended at the end. So St. John's hoping to come out and establish that momentum that they had, and Pilati hoping to extend. Face off. Ruckus and Pirano, controlled by Ruckus, CJ Ruckus for Pilati. Ball moves over to number 10 for Pilati. And a score on a shot. Catching him. Number 5, Amir Young. And it's suddenly 10-5, doubled up. With 11:43 remaining. Back to the face-off. Look down, and a couple seconds later, ball's in the goal. And now Pilati controls again. Shot out front, and this time a save. Saved by Kunkel. He gets it up. Numbers for St. John's. The pass in front, and a score! Score by number 2, Nick Gamara. Makes it 10-6.
Nick Gamara, assisted by number 3, Gavin Prunty.
Gavin Prunty with the pass in front. And just a flick of the stick and into the net. And now it's 10-6 with 11:14 remaining in the third quarter. And back to the face-off. Same two face-off guys, but again, third straight time controlled by Pilati. Duck inside twice by number 21 for Pilati. That's Jakai Butler. He gets it over. Shot goes high. The shot was Amir Young, lifting it just over the goal. Chased out of bounds, but still in possession by Pilati. Back out front, shot. Hit in front. Down goes the Pilati player and controlled by the goalie Kunkel. He gets it out. The number 24, Roberto Cortez, he brings it up. Now it becomes a ground ball. Controlled by number 1, Tyler Grove. Over to 22, Joey Novak. Novak slows things down, gets it over to Alex Pirano, and St. John sets it up. The pass blocked by Pilati, but held by Keller Newman. Pitches it over to Joey Novak. Novak looks in the middle, shot stopped by Pilati's Jace Wiggins. Covers up and gets it out to the side and gets it back. He'll walk it up. Looking to clear. Adeyemo gives it to Mir Young. Young pitches it across the field to number 12, Adam Rinker. And Rinker sets up the offense. look. Errant pass is going to go out of bounds and get turned over. St. John's takes it down 10-6. A sprint in front of the bench, swatted away, and it goes over to Pilati. Much to the chagrin of the Viking crowd. Panthers in control. Back behind the net. Look back up on top to the side. Shot, skips, past the goal, and out of bounds. Turnover to St. John's, going the other way. Over to Cortez, and he'll bring it up in front of the St. John's bench. Now to the middle of the field, to number 7, Drake McGrath. St. John's gets their players on the field that they want on offense. Pass behind the net. In front. Pass behind. Defense coming on strong for Pilati. The ground ball, it's going to stay with St. John's. 7:37 remaining in the third quarter. Gavin Prunty comes up limping for St. John's. And control in the far corner as the Vikings work it around. And back behind the net. Cuts and looks, nothing there. Back on top. Shot, blocked. But taken back by St. John's. Another shot blocked by Pilati. In front, shot, hits the pipes. Beautiful pass inside. Pirano at point blank. Hits the pipes, comes out to midfield. A solid hit, and out of bounds goes the ball, and turnover to Pilati, number 17, Ben Miller. He'll take it to the top. Dishes off to number 7, Mitchell Tree. Gets it back, looks, not there. Mitchell Cherry on point. In control now. Looks underneath. Spin, shot, score! Number 5. That's Amir Young from Mitchell Tree. Over the right shoulder of goalie Landon Kunkel for Catholic Prep. Makes it 11-6. 11-6, Panthers over the Vikings. 6:17 remaining in the third quarter. And coming out of halftime, it's been all Pilati. And Pilati's been consistently controlling the face-off. Ground ball in front of the goal. Picked up by Catholic Prep. St. John's brings it up. Goalie for Pilati. Chase Wiggins gets it up, middle of the field, and a hard hit by Catholic Prep, and they take it back. Look. Pass high. Look in front, nothing there. Shot blocked. And held by Jace Wiggins, goalie for Pilati. He gets it up and cleared and into the attack zone for Pilati. Turn, shot, catches a pipe again. And we're going to have a penalty. We have a penalty on St. John's. Coming off is going to be number 28 for St. John's. That's Keller Newman. It's a 1-minute penalty. Number 1, Tyler Grove, gets called for it. And we have a 6-on-5 for Pilati. Shot stopped by St. John's. Kunkel makes the stop, and we have a whistle. And the ball turned over to St. John's. Over to Cortez, number 24. And back to the goalie, Landon Kunkel. Loose ball. And a hit. And the ball turned over to St. John's. Hit was on Gavin Prunty. And now we got to stop in the action again. Prunty in the far corner from us. .55 seconds on the shot clock. Solid defense for Pilati. Ball chased behind the net. Prunty with it again. Makes his move, gets a pick, looks in front, gets double teamed, and the ball taken away by Pilati running up the field, but an errant pass creates the ground ball, controlled for the moment by St. John's. Their pass picked up by Cortez, now turned over to Pilati, racing in front, the look, the shot, saved by Kunkel. The spin out by Piranha, and he'll take it back. Piranha with the ball over to number 11. That's Aiden O'Neill. And now St. John's controls with 3 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Piranha dishes it behind the net to number 2, Nick Gamara. Gamara all the way out to Piranha. He mishandles, and it goes out of bounds, and it's going to get turned over to Pilati. Mitchell Tree will quarterback Pilati here at the top. He gives it up. Shot by Amir Young, goes wide left, and is followed out by St. John's. flip over to Cortez. And Roberto Cortez brings it up, flips it back to the goalie. Now Tyler Grove, middle of the field, give up. Opening, look, shot, and covered up and stopped by Jace Wiggins, the senior goalie for Pilati. And now we're going the other way. Beautiful stop and cover up by Jace Wiggins, goalie for Pilati. Mitchell Tree on top to Covington, back to Mitchell Tree to Ben Miller. And there's a goal in front on a shot by Ben Miller, I believe. Sneaks past the... Making it 12-6, Pilati, with 1:27 remaining in the third quarter. So unanswered goals by the Panthers have been the story of the third quarter. And the face-off consistently controlled by Pilati. And just as we say that, on the sidelines, it gets turned back to Pilati. And a shot and a score! That'll make it 13-6.
Panthers goal, score by number 12, Adam Rinker.
Adam Rinker, junior for Pilati, with the goal, with 54 seconds remaining in the quarter. And we have a stoppage in the action. Officials trying to draw the players back onto the field with 1 minute remaining in the quarter. Pirano and Ruckus back out for the face-off again. And a violation. And it's going to get turned over and given to St. John's Catholic Prep.
Face-off violation on the Panthers.
St. John's simply needs to settle down, set up the offense, grab a goal here before end of the third quarter if they can. Shot in front, just goes wide. Turn in front, scoop, stop. Jace Wiggins with the stop. He gets it back, middle of the field. Loose ball, picked up by Pilati. And it's a clearing violation. It's going to go over to St. John's with 4 seconds. Not going to get a shot off. And that's going to be the end of the third quarter. At the end of 3, that's 13-6, Panthers over the Vikings. And we'll turn the sound down for a quick moment, take a break, and be back to you for the last 12 minutes of regulation here at the USA Lacrosse Center in Hunt Valley, Maryland, where the Panthers lead 13-6 over the Vikings in the C Conference Championships. We'll be right back.
Remind everyone, for the safety of participants, officials, and spectators alike, at no time before, during, or after a contest are spectators allowed to enter the competition area. Failing to comply with the post-game safety policy will result in a fine being assessed to the offending school. We thank you for your cooperation.
Yeah. He gets no Chick-fil-A. And we come back for the final quarter. And the face-off, C.J. Ruckus and Alex Pirano. Ruckus has gotten the better of Pirano in a number of these. And this time, it goes over to St. John's. And we're going to have a penalty on Pilati. It's going to chase off number 14. Peyton stops for Pilati.
Panthers, a 30-second technical foul.
30 seconds on the push. Peyton stops with the penalty. The 6-on-5 for St. John's. Look in front. Shot. No good, and we're going to get another penalty. This time it's going to be on number 16. Going to get a hold. Oh, slash.
Slashing on the Panthers, 1 minute foul.
So 1 minute slashing penalty on the Panthers. That's going to chase number 6 off for them. Oliver Woodgett. That's Olive Woodgett. And the first penalty winding out, but we get a score. Alex Pirano makes it 13-7. First goal of the second half by St. John's with 11:02 remaining in the fourth. So St. John's hoping for a streak of these goals. 51 seconds remains on the penalty. For St. John's, Drake McGrath out for the face-off. Picked up by Tyler Grove, number 1. He gets it to his teammate. Number 3, Gavin Prunty. To 28, Keller Newman. Back on top to Pirano. Pirano leans in. He shoots. Jace Wiggins with the stop. He gets it out. Taken by number 8, Darian Green. He clears, and on the attack, Gets it poked away. By St. John's. Pirano now gets it. He gives it up. Look. Solid defense by Pilati. And back on top to Pirano. Now Newman. To Novak. Novak slips. Back up. Pirano. It's defense for Pilati. Very stingy. And a turnover. As it goes to Pilati with 9 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in regulation. Pilati 13-7 over St. John's and in control. Mitchell Tree on top. Flipping over to Eli Serpin. And now back behind the net. It's number 11, Robert Mitchell. Loose ball. Up on top. Look in. To the side. Down. There's a player for Pilati. Flip and out of bounds to St. John's. Will be turned over to Pilati. Pilati with 8 minutes remaining in regulation. Eating some clock, setting things up. 55 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Time is their friend. For St. John's, it's their enemy. Now St. John's starting to pressure a bit on the perimeter. Spin in front and take him behind the goal. Number 17, Ben Miller. Eli Serpin. And a timeout called by Pilati.
Timeout. Panthers. Once again, this reminder, everyone.
6:41 remaining in the game. At the conclusion of the game, we'll show you the award ceremony for the runner-up plaque and the championship plaque to the receiving teams.
Not permitted to enter the playing field at any time. Thank you.
Probably Paul Bernsdorf or Paul Bernsdorf most likely. And I think the sport chair is Julian Domenech from Julian Domenech Yep, he's from Severn. I'll let you know, Chris, if he goes down on the field or not. He's the executive director of the MIAA. Teams retaking the field for the final 6:41 of regulation. Paul, they're both down on Chris, they're both down on the field on the sideline there. Maroon and white. Shot blocked by St. John's. Bounces over the net. In front, wide open, and a score! Pilati scored by number 11. Robert Mitchell, a junior, gets the goal, making it 14-7, Pilati. And we also had a foul on the play.
Slashing called on the Vikings, 1 minute foul.
We had a slashing foul called on St. John's. Coming off is Roberto Cortez for the Vikings. Face off this time. Keller Newman's going to take it for St. John's. See if he has some success over C.J. Ruckus. Ruckus wins it again. And Pilati controls. Looking front shot, score! Right back to number 11, Robert Mitchell. Picks up his second goal in about 10 seconds.
Mitchell, assisted by number 5, Amir Young.
Amir Young with the assist, making it 15-7, Pilati. And we got a timeout on the field by St. John's. The coach is trying to get St. John's player to regroup.
Following tonight's championship for the presentation of the championship trophy.
$15-7, Panthers over the Vikings. 6:18 remaining in regulation. It probably means in the game tonight. Very active student body for Pilati, cheering their team on. Both teams represented well by their parents, families, and student bodies. But in the cheering contest, I got to give it to Pilati tonight. They certainly are organized and enthusiastic. Doesn't hurt to have a 15-7 lead either. So here we go. The last 6:18. And a face-off controlled by St. John's. Pass is going to go out of bounds and turned over to Pilati. Long pass. And that'll go out of bounds and goes right back to the Vikings. Toronto controls in front of the bench, and he'll set it up for the Vikings. He steps in, looks, nothing there. Back behind the net, look in front. Fires, score! Number 22 for St. Johns,
Vikings goal,
Joey
goal,
Novak.
22, Joe Novak, assisted by number 3, Gavin Prunty.
But as soon as he takes the shot, he grabs the back of his knee and down he goes on the field. Hopefully we're dealing with a cramp, and it looks like we are. He's stretching out. He grabbed the back of the leg, so it could be hamstring. But don't want to speculate any more than that with an injury. But they are on the field. Trainer is stretching him out at the moment. And very quiet on the field. He's up. And limping off the field. That goal makes it 15-8. And Joe Novak appears to be okay as he makes his way to the sideline. And we go back to the face-off. Ruckus and it's controlled by Pilati. Rising shot will get turned over as it's run out of bounds by St. John's. Great save there by Landon Kunkel. He controls, flipping it out to Cortez. Cortez gets it up and flip and out of bounds, and it's going to go back to Pilati with 5:26 remaining in the contest. Now Pilati, goalie, long pass, completed to Aiden Covington. He gets it back out to Ty Wiggins, and Wiggins will make his way behind the net. He spins, now in front, shoots and scores! Ty Wiggins, sophomore, with the goal, makes it 16-8 Panthers. 4:57 remaining. It'll be Drake McGrath coming out for the face-off against CJ Ruckus. Ruckus controls. And Pilati has possession. Aiden Covington behind the net. Darian Green on the far side. Number 8 with possession. He sends it up on top to Ben Miller. Ben Miller directing traffic. Steps to his left, then pulls it back out and back all the way close to midfield. Pilati in no hurry as they eat clock here down under 4 minutes. Miller 1-on-1. He's defended by Drake McGrath. And Ben Miller brings it to the bench side of the field. Checked a few times by McGrath. Ben Miller dishes it. Behind the back shot. By Matthew Mitchell-Tree. Saved and turned over to St. John's. St. John's moves, Shot in front, wide right, and out of bounds. Gavin Prunty with the shot. Look in front. He's got it. He shoots. It's blocked. And we have a whistle and a push against Pilati. And it's going to get turned over to St. John's.
Loose ball push on the Panthers.
3:01 remaining. And Pirano with control at the top. He steps in, he spins, he shoots, he scores! Alex Pirano with a goal, making it 16-9.
Unassisted goal scored by number 4, Alex Perano.
Just under 3 minutes, 2:53 to be exact, remaining. And we'll go back to the face-off. Keller Newman's going to come out for St. John's. And Ruckus again for Pilati. About 80% of the face-offs controlled by Ruckus, but not this one. This one goes over to St. John's. Around the crease, nothing there. Pilati packing it in on defense. Poked away from Pirano. Controlled by Prunty. Prunty gives it up to Keller Newman. Newman spins, goes down, and turns it over to Pilati. And we have an injury on the field. And again, we have cramping going on. And a nice hand by the entire fan base here for Keller Newman as he comes off as a senior. And some serious cramping going on. And the ball is going to get turned over to Pilati with 1:58 remaining. Celebration beginning down on the Pilati sidelines. As it's cleared by number 8, Darian Green. Ball taken away by St. John's. They bring it up. Shot wide right and out of bounds. It's going to stay there in possession of St. John's. 1:27 remaining. In front of the St. John's bench, it's Alex Pirano with control. And he'll toss it on top to Max Coots. First time we've called Max's name in the game. Over to shot high. Shot by Keller Newman. And it'll be followed out of bounds by number 2, Nick Gamara. Gamara.
1 minute remaining in the championship.
Less than 1 minute remaining. Another shot wide right, out of bounds. And it's going to go over to Pilati with 44 seconds remaining. Up the far sidelines. Pilati clears. Number 13 is Adiadiamo. A long pass. Controlled by number 11, Robert Mitchell. Mitchell takes behind the net. With 8 seconds. In the corner. And that's going to be it. We have a yard sale as Pilati celebrates your 2023 C Conference Lacrosse champions, St. Vincent Pilati. Hard-fought game by the Vikings of St. John's, just not enough for the firepower of St. Vincent Pilati. So your final score tonight, 16-9. Panthers over the Vikings, and the awards presentation will be at midfield in just a moment. What's that? Julian? I think he's the sport chair for lacrosse.
Ladies and gentlemen, this time we invite the Executive Director of the MIAA, Paul Bernsdorf, and the Lacrosse Sports Chairman, Julian Dominich, to center field for the presentation of the championship trophy to the Panthers.
And they're waiting for the field to clear for the awards presentation.
At this time, please give a round of applause to the 2022 MIAA C Conference champions, the Vikings from St. John's Catholic Prep, on an outstanding season.
And the ceremonial handshake happening here between the both teams, displaying great sportsmanship in this championship game.
Will the captains for the Panthers please join Paul Bernstorff and Julian Domenech for the presentation of the championship plaque.
Now the championship plaque being awarded to the captains of Pilati. Robert Mitchell, number 11. Number 9, Aiden Covington. Number 24, Jace Wiggins.
The 2023 MIAA C-Conference champion, St. Vincent Pilati.
And number 13, Adi Adiyamo, accepting the plaque. And parading it around to the fans and student body of the Panthers. And the celebration at St. Vincent Pilati is just beginning. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your viewing of this championship game. I'm Larry Dukes and Morgan Knox, our videographer. We appreciate bringing you the action tonight and hope you'll join us for future broadcasts of championships here in the MIAA. Have a great night and thank you.
And will the last person to leave please turn out the lights?